Fantastic. Welcome to our team meeting. Yes, lots to go through today, and we got some really cool things that are happening within our team meeting today. So big announcement with the tech-enabled agents. So shortly we'll have Mike Russo and Dylan Silbernagel to come on screen with us, and they have a really cool announcement with a really amazing initiative that I know is going to support our brokerage tremendously, something that's that I'm really excited about, and I know a few of you are that may be in on the announcement. This is pretty awesome. Coach's Corner with Jen Silbernagel. So she's got a really cool update within her coaching program that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of and how to leverage that as well. So excited for that. Of course, our top award winners for the month of April, and we are seeing some amazing things by our agents. So congratulations to you in advance. Social media best practices. So today we're inviting our very own Mary Furnell to come on to give us that overview of how best to leverage our social media. And today's theme, I should mention, today's theme is all around leveraging social media, how to stay connected with our clients and with our sphere through social media. So we're going to learn a lot about that today. Of course, our mortgage update with Charity. And of course, there's been some changes, as we know, over the last month or so, and which are coming into practice very shortly. So Charity is going to give us that update and a few other things that perhaps we overlook when listing our listings. So she's going to dive into that shortly as well. And Broker Bit. So we have a very special Broker Bit segment lined up for you today, and we'll kind of keep that for a little bit later. Of course, our industry stats with Marv, and he goes through the stats and how we are scaling up our business, and also how we're doing against some of the other brands, and how we can use these stats to attract listings and solidify those listings and clients as well. And we have some pretty big, awesome announcements within that too, and some great award winners that we're going to announce within that segment as well. And I know that this is why a lot of you here. So I'm going to set this up now, but we're going to talk about it later. Marv called me a few weeks ago. He goes, Gary, I got an idea about our team meeting. I know you're going to like it, but I'm not so sure if I'm going to like it. And I'm like, that you got me at that. So I got really intrigued, and he shared with me. And before he could finish, I'm like, Marv, I'm sorry. I got to tell you, I love it. So live objection handling with Marv, and we'll explain how that works when we get closer to that segment. But ideally what's going to happen is this is not scripted. And that was the one thing we wanted to make sure. So Marv has no idea what the objections are going to be. So if you've been working with the seller or a buyer and you've come across an objection that you just couldn't quite overcome, or perhaps you did, but you want another view on it, get ready to type it into the comments section, and we'll dive into it, Marvin and I. And I tried to stump him a few weeks ago, and not to say he wasn't stumped, but he certainly had the confidence to talk through whatever objection I had, and it was really great. So looking forward to that segment. Okay, let's we got some very special welcomes for this month, and the agents that you see on screen here. Welcome to KWRC. You've joined us since our last team meeting. So Angelica and Jeff Mazzotti, Bella Badori, Farham Islam, congratulations. Welcome to you. And most recently, yesterday, Tracy Kirstein, Livia Cassidy, and Sarah Bonnet, very special welcome to you. So now if you have referrals or business in that Hanover area, this is a top team from that area, and reach out to Tracy, the leader of that team, and she can certainly service you and your clients in that area of Hanover. And we're really excited to have her come on board. So congratulations and a big welcome to you, Tracy, Livia, and Sarah. Very good. So I'm going to give the heads up to Mike Russo and Dylan Silbernagel. I'm going to invite you to come on screen with us. I'm going to see if I can watch out for you and bring you on screen, but I'm going to hand it over to you if you guys are ready. So Mike, I see you, and take it away. And Dylan, fantastic.
Absolutely. Let's start right at the top again. So Mike and I have been working closely with our amazing office leadership that are now reinvesting back into our agents, as they do so frequently. And we're really proud to announce this initiative called KWRC Studios, which Mike is going to tell you a little bit about. We're going to roll right into right now.
Yeah, I feel like I've had deja vu, but essentially KWRC Studios is a one-stop shop for content creation in our office. So our studio, like I was mentioning, will be located out of the Aurora office. Similarly, you're going to book it the way that you book the boardroom or the closing rooms. You just book it through the office. And in that room, we're going to have a microphone. We're going to have a podcast, or sorry, we're going to have a microphone for podcasting. We're going to have lights for any videos you want to take. We're also going to have a backdrop. So if you guys actually wanted to take updated headshots, you could technically do that. The only thing you have to do is you just have to bring your phone or the camera that you'd like to use, and you're pretty much good to go. It's really going to be simple to use. We've actually painted the room so it looks incredible. It's a nice bright color now, so that should really highlight you in the videos. And yeah, your filming ideas can pretty much go to anywhere you want it in this room, right? And it's just located in our Aurora office, which is awesome.
Yeah, so this is a studio made for you, one-stop shop. All you got to do is bring your phone, plug it in, start recording, and you're all set to go. Mike and I are into the tech stuff, and we've been doing videos for a long time. And I remember investing so much in all this gear that we've now provided for you from the office that you don't need to worry about any of that stuff. You book it just like a closing room. You come in, plug in your phone, start recording, and you're good to go. And we know that now more than ever, being online, being present, and building an audience is just such a great way to grow your business. There's agents in our office that do it amazing. They do it so well. And now you've got no excuse to do it for yourself. You've got a spot you can go. The gear's all there. You just plug in, start recording. And we're really excited to see where people can take this, because the options are endless. You can do short videos in there. You can do long form podcasts in there. Like it's just set up for you guys to go and run with. And like I said, most importantly, there's no investment on your side. All you got to do is come in, plug in, and you're good to go.
And done.
Yeah, and done. And for those of you that are kind of into building passive income and want to like generate that through your downline, this is a topic that comes up so much with agents these days and through recruiting calls and stuff that we're aware of. And so if you start sharing this story about what your office is providing and you're looking to build that passive income, this is a no-brainer. This one's like a slam dunk.
Yeah. So we're going to be sending out a video with everything that's going to be in the room. It's not completely done yet. Right now, it's just a room full of Amazon boxes. And so we're going to be building everything this week, and hopefully we'll be good to go shortly. And we'll send out a clip of what it looks like. Gary, I guess we can send it out through email or something. That way everyone knows about it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dylan. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, Gary. I love it. We've basically given you the full rundown. Mike and I are going to be here to help you kind of get started. We're going to do some tutorial videos on how to use the space. But really, it's all about you guys. I think we're going to see some amazing stuff come out of the studio.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited. So I was mentioning to Dylan yesterday, I've been at KWRC for almost 9 years now, and I don't think I'd be out of line to say this has been a conversation almost that long and kind of something in the making. And it's not until now that we have the right people in place to make something like this happen. And of course, I want to do a public shout out to Marvin for seeing this as an opportunity. As leaders, it's our roles as leaders to kind of see the peaks and valleys and to stand in those valleys where we see opportunity. And Marvin has certainly stood in this valley where there's an incredible opportunity for our agents to leverage this. And I, like Dylan and Mike, I am so excited and intrigued and every other adjective word to see what content comes out of there. I know it's going to be even stuff that we haven't even thought of yet, which I am really, really excited about. And just as they were saying, everything from podcasts to the short videos, long videos, everything, creating content. And even, if you're being interviewed for a podcast or you're being interviewed on a Zoom call, use this room because it'll have all the perfect lighting and everything else. And of course, there's going to be assistants to help you set it up and kind of, it'll be almost foolproof. Walk in, turn a few things on and plug your phone or laptop in and you're ready to go. So I am really, 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 really excited about this. So great job, guys. Amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate the kudos, but I don't deserve any of it. It all goes to all of you. All I did is say, okay. That's all I did. This is amazing. Okay. That's all I did. Thank you to the team. I mean, the research that went into this, all of the work, setting it up, the support, I really can't take any credit, but I'm grateful to have everybody there. And I'm grateful for what this is going to do for everyone's business. And it's going to be a lot of fun too, right, Gary? I think it's going to be great.
Well, and that's just it. And it should be fun for you. This should not be something that you're stressed out about. There's plenty of people that already have this type of experience, and ask them if you're looking for a little bit of guidance and everything. So the name of the game is sometimes is just hit record and start putting stuff out there. So here's another avenue in which you can do that. So thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Mike. I know we still have a lot of work to get to finalize the studio and everything, but I think 95% of all the gear's there and just almost ready to go. So well done.
Yeah, we're very close. It should be within a week or two, I would imagine.
Very good. Very, very good. Guys, as always, thank you. Thank you for leading the tech-enabled agent and leading us through this. And I'm excited to see where this goes, obviously. Very good. Very
Absolutely.
good.
Gary, thanks for all your support.
No, anytime. Love it. Okay, we're going to shift into the coaching part of our meeting, and I'll invite Jen Silbernagel to come on screen with us.
Awesome. So first of all, I can't tell you how excited I am about that studio launch. Like, I think of all the stuff that we've rolled out since I've been in a leadership role, and that's been a lot. I mean, over the last year to 2 years, there's been like new thing after new thing after new thing. This is my favorite. I'm just pumped. So for all the coaching guys out there, you better know that you're going to be in that studio. So watch the tutorials and make sure that you know how to use everything, because it's going to become part of our coaching program for sure. And yeah, I'm really excited to actually lots of announcements today. We've got some big news with the coaching program. We've been working on it for a little while, and I'm really, really excited to announce some changes to our support team. So as you guys know, myself and Dylan have been running the coaching program for the last, oh my gosh, 3 going on 4 years now, which is crazy all on its own. I can't believe it's been that long. But that being said, we're growing really rapidly. And, you know, we've got a really great program. We've got a really great brokerage. We're attracting a lot of new talent, and we've had the opportunity to expand our coaching lineup. And so I have an amazing announcement of 2 new coaches that are going to be working with the coaching program in 2 different capacities. So one of them is here with us today and will get an opportunity to speak. The other one is actually writing her broker's exam, so can't be with us, but we're going to celebrate and support her anyways, because, you know, she's awesome. And what's really amazing about this is both of these ladies have actually come through coaching with me. So they have experienced the program, they've experienced advanced coaching and PC Pro coaching, and they know exactly what we do and how we do it. And they've succeeded through that program and are now excited to give back and support. So the first announcement, and, you know, someone that's going to be just a huge element of support in not only our social media, but with teams and with training and giving guidance to new agents, is Stevie Susi. So Stevie has joined us as a productivity coach, and she's working with our PC agents as well as with our growth agents in our coaching program. So Stevie, if you're there, I'm going to just throw it to you for a second, just to let you give yourself a little introduction and say a few words, and then we'll jump to the next announcement.
Thanks, Jen, for the warm announcement. Yeah, so I'm super excited for this opportunity to be working with Jen and Dylan. I am extremely invested in Keller Williams as a company, but specifically our brokerage. I'm really invested in just helping our agents, you know, learn and do better, and, you know, grow in numbers, grow in productivity, and just take things to the next level for everyone. I think, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love it. I am very passionate about helping others. So I'm just very excited for the opportunity.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Stevie. I know I threw that at you last minute, but I can't tell you how excited we are to have you joining us as a coach, and how much the agents are already benefiting from Stevie. She's been with us for about a month now, and getting rolled into the position and getting to know all of the agents, and she's just taking to it so naturally. It's definitely something that, you know, is going to be a great future for her, and we're excited to be a part of that team. So thank you for wanting to work with us, and thank you for being passionate about giving back to the agents. And our other big announcement, unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, like I mentioned, but for great reason. She's getting her broker's license and writing her exam. We have also partnered with Stephanie Sauve, and she's going to be working with us on our commercial support. So as some of you may know, not everybody does, Steph comes from a family background in commercial real estate, selling and owning restaurants and properties. She's also done a great many transactions on the commercial side within her own business, whether it's land development or leasing and commercial deals in that way. And it's definitely something that is a component we've been missing within the coaching program. So we get to finally say that we have a well-rounded coaching team that specializes in commercial, in social media, in residential, in door knocking, in database, in cold calling. We can cover everything with adding these two amazing ladies to our coaching support group. And then the third thing that I wanted to let everybody know is that, yeah, Mary Furnell said 2 heavy hitters joining coaching. Absolutely. It's going to be a big shift for everybody, and we're real excited. And the third thing we have to announce as well is that we've also rolled out an intermediate coaching level. So we have already, as you guys know, a PC coaching program for our brand new agents, a growth coaching program for those agents that want to do group coaching and get weekly and daily accountability and support. Then we also have now an intermediate program. So if you're struggling to grow your business and you want one-on-one focused coaching, we now have a program for you guys that you can take advantage of for half an hour a week, individual focus coaching with myself or with Dylan. And then of course, our advanced coaching and our team leader coaching. So I think we've got you covered at this point. I'm not sure what else we can add, although I'm sure we'll think of something down the road. But for now, yeah, we're just really excited to watch the program grow. And if you want to learn more about how coaching can support you or what those programs look like, just reach out to myself, Jennifer at psncoaching.com, or give me a call or text at 416-660-8340. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. And, you know, coaching is the tool that we use to take our business from where we are to the next level. And having that support and that second set of eyes is a big part of that conversation, right? And how you get there, because sometimes we can't see outside of our lane and we need somebody to kind of direct us a little bit. So keep that in mind, and hopefully we'll get to work with more of you guys soon. Thanks, Gary.
Awesome, Jen. That is such a great program to be a part of, and kudos for you for keeping, making it better and better. And Gary Keller often says, how do we get 1% better every day? And that's what you're doing to that program. So congrats to you for sure. Very good. Very, very good. Okay. So a few things before we get into the social media pieces and our mortgage update. And I wanted to highlight, this is our Red Day. We had this a couple of weeks ago. We were able to celebrate a day of giving back to the community, and we were able to raise thus far $3,620. Of course, you can still donate to that, and I know many of you will still have that, or many of you still have that opportunity, so please visit that. And again, that's going to our Richmond Hill, Aurora, Newmarket, and Georgina food banks, and of course the Health Services Center out in the Wyerton area. So, we much has been given to us, and we have an opportunity to give to others, and this is a great cause to give back to. So I do take the time to give back on that, and we had a great day that day as well, with the different videos and the different workshops that we got to have and be involved with. So that was a great day had by all. This is something I always love celebrating. So yes, these agents got the opportunity to level up over the last month. Congratulations on capping Angela Beatty, Austin Clark, Jesse Lee Evans, Drew McMartin, and Susan Pierce. Congrats to you. That is amazing. So again, when our agents reach a threshold within their business, they cap. And then the bonus is they get to keep 100% of their commission thereafter. And that is always an amazing feeling, I got to tell you. And this is a great way to also share with others, the greatness that you the fun that you get to have at KW by capping. And also, if this is something that you feel strongly about, we always say, when you go for a great dinner at a restaurant, you share the good news, right? You share how great that restaurant was. It's similar to where you work. People will often say, I work at X company, it is awesome. And share the great news with KW. We're happy to have this conversation with others, and we're happy to share with them how they can also cap and keep 100% of their commission as well.
Very Gary, good. You know what? We want to remind everyone too that one of the great advantages of capping is that you can build wealth, right? You can continue to pay your cap to yourself. So our company is more than glad to continue to deduct your typical split or any other amount that you'd like. We hold it for you. We give you a monthly accounting of it. It doesn't cost anything to do that. It's on us. And when you request the money, you get it. A great way to build wealth, I mean, is just to continue to pay your cap to yourself. We'll continue to deduct it, and you'll be surprised how much money you accumulate by the end of your contract year. It's a great way to do it, right?
That's a great point, Marvin. Yeah, and the element of passive income too, through generating wealth through passive income is incredibly important to us as real estate investors, meaning we are agents, so we should be teaching these types of things to our clients as well. So that's a great piece. Very good. Moving forward. Okay. We've had a lot of great success over the last number of months, and we want to celebrate those individual success along with you, and congratulate you on the amazing things that you've been doing within your business. And one of the cool things that we get to celebrate here is your first closings with KW as brand new agents. So a huge congratulations to Jade Hebelwaith, Jane Derricks, and Josh Carducci. Josh, you are killing it. You're all killing it. And Jen and I were talking the other day, Jen Silbernagel and I, and we think it's going to be an incredibly tight race for Rookie of the Year. So keep up the amazing work, Josh and others and Haley and everyone else. We love seeing those numbers come in and those deals come in. So great work, everybody. First listings. This is always really exciting too. So congratulations to Belinda, Irene, Jack, and Tamara. We always say you never forget your first. And this is just that snowball effect, right? Of building an amazing business to support you and your family. Okay, very good. So the first stat that we have up here is closed units. And this is our top 10 individuals for April. So congratulations to Stuart, Wasim, Michael, Angela, Mike, Dina, Vincent, Paul, and yes, there were 9 people tied for 9th. So huge congratulations to all of you. That is amazing. We're seeing some awesome stuff. So as that market continues to move, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, our agents are still writing a tremendous amount of business. So congratulations. Speaking of writing, this is the written business that you wrote in the month of April for our top individuals. And Christina Chiss, amazing. Congratulations to you, because you are also, she is one of our, you would consider a frontline worker, healthcare worker as well. So that is amazing to see you on this list. Congratulations to you, Paul, Sandra, Frank, Wasim, Vincent, MJ, John, Stuart, and Wayne. Congratulations for writing your writing business. As we always say, the business you write today typically shows up in 2, 3, 4 months from now. So some of you are going to have some amazing summers. Our closed units for the top 6 groups. So this is groups or teams. Congratulations to the Terry Hastings team, the Volpe Alcorn team, Paroff team, Michael Tuff team, the Silbernagel team, and the Baja Booten team. Congratulations to you for an amazing month of April. And then the written business for the same category: Terry Hastings team, the Paroff team, the Volpe Alcorn team, Baja Booten team, and the Silbernagel team, and the Melissa Taylor team. Well done, everybody. Well done. Very good. Okay, that wraps up that segment. So I'm going to give Mary the heads up here. And I asked Mary to come on screen with us and share with us kind of your best social media practices and things that we need to be working along, how to promote ourselves, but also how to communicate. Because that's exactly why we should be using social media, to be able to communicate with our clients, with our sphere, and to let them know that we are in the business of real estate. So Mary, I'm going to hand it over to you, and you prompt me with the slides, and I'm happy to forward them for you.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with Instagram.
Coming right up.
Yep. Okay, so one of the best practices for 2021 is to make Instagram the main social network in your content strategy. The average engagement for one post is higher than Twitter and Facebook combined. So let's start focusing more on Instagram. Next, use more carousel posts for more engagements and likes. That means using more images where people can swipe left. Give actions for people to let them know to swipe left in your carousel captions. If your goal is to drive conversations, video posts. Video is always far more engaging than simply an image. So that's where KWRC Studios comes in, right? Keep your captions short, under 10 words, but include emojis to complement your points. That's just when you're using an image. Use hashtags in the first comment for more engagements, impressions, and reach. Hiding the hashtags in captions works for smaller Instagram profiles. So obviously most people with under 100,000 followers. Make sure to include more videos into both your regular stories as well as your story ads for a higher click-through rate. Again, KWRC Studios. And honestly, once you get used to seeing yourself on screen and being on screen, it's the first time is tough and then it gets way easier. And when the lighting is right, your sound quality is right, you're going to look better, you're going to feel more confident, and how the video comes across is going to be way better. You're going to love it, KWRC Studios. So, Facebook. What are we going to use Facebook for? So post albums to get more likes, but use video to drive conversations. When creating albums, use short captions under 10 words and emojis to get better engagement rates. Opt for vertical format in videos. And use videos between 2 and 5 minutes to drive conversations. So engage with people. Go live for over 1 hour to double your engagement. Obviously, where are we going? KWRC Studios. Add a description length of over 300 characters to your videos to increase engagement. It's going to let people know what your video is about and if they want to invest the time. And place the majority of your ads on Facebook to receive the highest click-through rate with lower costs per click. So a few things to keep in mind. Definitely use LinkedIn, but keep it more professional and business oriented. Make sure that you are defining your audience. So you want to know who your target audience is and how best to engage with them. If you need help with that, I'm always here. Don't use every platform. Really concentrate on where your target market is and engage with them there. Set the tone of your messages based on your brand, right? Again, you want to target your target market, your defined audience. Post high quality, varied content. Again, KWRC Studios. Celebrate milestones and accomplishments. So don't always make it about you. Make it about things that you've done. Make it about clients that you have helped, right? Tell stories. Seek engagement, run advertising, and answer questions, but make sure that you're always being kind. Sometimes comments that people make can trigger us. Deal with the issue and try to remove some of the emotion from it. And another thing, check your analytics. There's a reason that we have business pages and that we have personal pages. Keep an eye on who's engaging with what and what posts are getting your target market engaged, and give them more of that, right? It's a way to help you focus and really make sure that you are connecting with the people who are following you. So that's what I have.
Very good. And Mary, remind us how we can use, just quickly, the videos that you post and the videos that we store on this website here.
Right. So we've got a ton of real estate videos that are already branded. They're super easy to add your branding to through Canva. And there are targeted neighborhood market stats. There are all kinds of homeowner tips. There is a ton of every kind of thing you can imagine. Literally, I go through all of them and I put them on my KWRC. It's easy to download them and it's done for you. Why wouldn't you use them? It's so easy.
Yeah, I love it. And the power of leverage is right there, right in front of us. And one of the, you mentioned something really important, and that's understanding, not to say you have to understand the analytics, but that's something that helps you create more business because, you know, when we're talking about building our database and we're talking about where did your leads and deals come from, it's the same thing with analytics, right? We want to know where those referral sources and where those transactions are coming from. So what type of posts are you getting most traction on? That's something that the analytics can really help you with, so you can create more content like that. And and ask, and Mary, like, ask your audience what they want too, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's a conversation. It's definitely a conversation. If you treat social media like it's you at a party or at a meeting, you're going to feel way more comfortable with it, and you'll engage more. There's nothing wrong with even create a poll and say, what can I provide for you?
Yeah, I like it because we always assume the client or our sphere, we always assume we know what they want. But how can we know what they want if we're not asking them? And use social media to ask. It creates tremendous amount of interaction. So good stuff here, Mary. And of course, reach out to Mary if you need some assistance with your social media branding or your business branding. Do reach out to Mary. She is amazing at it, and she does all of our stuff within KW, and she is a great resource we have at our fingertips. So please reach out to Mary and leverage her talent to help you attract a bigger business. So well done. Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, this is cool. So we announced this, at least on our social media page a couple of weeks ago, kind of save the date, June 1st, the first ever regional, Canadian regional mastermind. So this will be coast to coast, starting at 11 a.m., running through 5 o'clock. And there's the link there that you can register. This is a webinar that's being hosted by KW Canada, and some amazing panels throughout the day. So we're starting off at 11, and each panel is approximately an hour. So how to be a successful agent fast. So this is for newer agents. I actually have the honor of hosting the first panel. So tune in for that. And then we have tech-enabled agents, a luxury panel, new home and condo construction panel, top producing team, and solo agents all throughout the day. This is 100% free, 100% Canadian and local, and you'll recognize a lot of the names that are being on the panels. This is all top KW agents. And on the tech-enabled agent, we are thrilled that Kirby Chan is taking part of that. So certainly reach out to Kirby to give him the high five, but also show up to support Kirby. And then, choose the panel. We don't expect everyone to be online for all 5-6 hours there, although that would be awesome. However, choose the panel that you are most interested in, where you want to, sharpen your sword, if you will. So make conscious effort to show up for that on June 1st. There's the link there. That'll take you right to the Zoom webinar for the registration. Very good. I'm going to give the heads up to Charity. And Charity, as you know, is our in-house or preferred mortgage vendor. And she has been working with a lot of our agents to fund their deals, and has been a tremendous resource for our agents and for KW in itself, and adding information to us that we can take to our clients. And Charity, how you doing today? You're muted. There you go.
I'm really great, Gary. How are you?
I am awesome. Awesome. So last month we got to talk about the possible pending changes, and wouldn't you know it, looks like everything's coming into fruition, and that's happening. So Charity, why don't you give us the overview of what we can expect from those changes, and what OFC is doing with the lending requirements there?
Yeah, for sure. First thing I want to make mention to is, of course, we were hearing that the stress test for uninsured mortgages was possibly going to change. And a lot of people, when we hear 20% down, they assume that that means uninsured. But I just wanted to clarify that to start off with. You can have 20% down or more and still have your deal back end insured as long as you're taking a 25-year amortization. So it doesn't mean just if someone's putting 20% down, they automatically have to follow these new rules. So I just wanted to have that out there, because I know I've been reading a lot of content that addresses the 20% down. So uninsured means more than 20% or more plus the 30-year amortization. Those two things combined make the mortgage now uninsurable. And the new rules apply for an uninsurable mortgage, which is the stress test. Basically, it's going to be changed. Currently, right now, for uninsured mortgages, the stress test, the mortgage is being tested at a rate of 4.79. Now, with the uninsured mortgage, it's going to be the greater of. So the greater of the contract rate, which is the rate that the client is being offered, plus 2%, or 5.25, whichever is greater of the two rates. We have to now challenge the mortgage at that rate to make sure the client qualifies.
I have a question around that, and I might be dating myself from buying investment properties. And years ago, when we were buying investment properties, the lender would insure the mortgage, and I wouldn't have to pay for any of those insurance fees. Is that something that's come and gone, and that's not an issue anymore, or are lenders still passing on those extra fees to the borrower?
Yeah, good question, Gary. So actually, in that scenario where I just differentiated that if the client has the 20% or more over and is taking the 25-year AM, the lender does cover that insurance fee. So it's called back-end insuring, where they do put that insurance on to protect the lenders. That's why the lenders like those mortgages, because there's less risk, and the lender will pay for that little bit of difference in the uninsured mortgages.
Yeah, no, okay. That's cool. And then those types of lenders, they're typically, not to say any lender is better than the next, because we're really not. If it's not about, and I always say this, Charity, I think you and I have had this conversation. Sometimes it's not the cost of the money, it's the accessibility of the money, the access to the money. And is that typically, we would classify those as your B lenders and that type of thing that are doing that sort of thing, or where are we seeing that?
Yeah, no, the mono lenders, even the banks, some of the banks are back ending, again, depending on the different banks, not necessarily the 5 major banks, but some of the banks are offering the the insurable mortgages over 20%. But that's commonly, these products are known for the mono lenders. So the lenders that are exclusively in competition with the banks, those are the ones that are very good at offering these products and will cover those costs for these products to be able to win over the client's business.
Yeah, very good. So I like how you so nicely corrected me. I'm going to add mono lender to my vocabulary next time. Very good. And Darren Maltese actually has a question there, and I apologize if you answered it the way. Anyways, here's the question. What is the contracted rate that the 2% is added to? Is it the posted rate or the actual borrowing rates?
Yeah, great question. So the contract rate, for example, in a product like that would be whatever rate I'm going to be able to get the client. So just to make a good illustration for this, say that it is an alternate lending product and the rate that I'm getting the client is 3.3. So again, because it's not our best rate, but it's an alternate rate. So we would take the contract rate, which is the rate that the client is being offered. So in the illustration, it would be 3.3 plus 2%, now effectively turns that rate to 5.3. So when we're comparing the 5.3 or the 5.25, we now have to use the contract rate plus 2% because that yields a higher rate.
Okay.
Rate is that you're looking at getting plus 2% or the new 5.25, whichever is higher.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. And one of the other things that you mentioned in your email that it's one of these ripple effect kind of things. As agents, we put up our listings, and sometimes we don't have the exact age of the home, or we don't have all the details of the home to get into the listing, and sometimes we don't think. We don't have a second thought about it, but it's the ripple effect that you really made aware to me. So talk to us about, the MLS data and how important that is.
Yeah, so I was thinking again as how I can better help agents and all around in all the different faucets. And one of the things is speed. So everyone says to me, well, Sherry, how fast can you get this approval back to me? And it dawned on me that sometimes based on the information in the MLS listing, it will literally drastically slow down the deal. And here's why. The details that are in the MLS listing, if we have now an insurable mortgage, meaning that the deal has to cross CMHC's desk, they may have details about that property from before. So if the listing isn't correct, such as the age, their square footage, and the property taxes, and so we're just sort of guessing, if we enter those into the computer and they go across to the insurer, if it's different than what the last record that the insurer has on that property, normally it would be auto approved, but the computer senses that something's wrong, the information is different on this listing, and it gets bumped from the automatic CMHC approval to manual underwriting. And now that deal has to sit in a queue for however long it may take CMHC or Genworth or Sagging to look at it to figure out why was this MLS flagged. And sometimes it could be as simple as the age or the square footage, but any details that say if it's not on the MLS and we guess because without it, it won't go through, that causes it to have to be looked at by a person versus it just going into the insurer, the computer system kind of checking the facts and then auto approving it. So it could be a big delay depending on how busy they are over at the insurers.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, we as I said, it's that ripple effect and getting all the right information on that. No, that's I'd never thought of it from that perspective before. Melissa Taylor has a really great question. I don't know if you want to tackle it here, so I'm giving you the out, and we can get better clarification on it. However, what are the lenders? How are the lenders looking at things like a property being as is in the listing description, for instance?
Yeah, so as is always means an appraisal. It doesn't matter if the client's putting 5% down, 50% down. I mean, in private, maybe we can, but even then, most likely not. As is, that word triggers appraisal. So sometimes when we're especially offering prices higher or things like that, where you're expecting that on your offer, it could create that complication. However, if the property is as is and we are confident in the appraisal, then it's not a big deal. A lot of times as is important to say because the sellers aren't willing to do much other than how it is, but it does mean an appraisal.
Okay, great answer. Yeah, good. Thanks. Great question too, Melissa. And a follow-up question from Darren as we kind of wrap this segment up. With the stress test increasing coming June 1st, does the deal have to be submitted prior to June 1st to go on today's rules as opposed to tomorrow's rules?
That's right. So it does have to be submitted before June 1st. And from what I'm hearing, I mean, we haven't got to that exact date yet, but submitted and approved before June 1st.
Approved. Okay, that's a big piece of it. Okay, very good.
But one last thing also, Gary, that's in my notes that is really important about the MLS listing is the property taxes. And it may seem so minor to you guys because it's not that big of a number, but it is calculated in our principal, interest, tax, and heat calculation. And if you use the taxes from last year, which a lot of agents do because maybe they haven't got their clients to get a new property updated bill, but just so you know, the lenders automatically take that number and they increase it by 3%, even though the property taxes may not have increased by 3%. So if you can find out what the recent year's property taxes are and put that on the listing, that's very helpful, because if you don't, we're already that's taking away from the buyer's buying power because we have to increase that number by the 3%.
That's a great piece of advice. That's a great one to end on too. That's fantastic. And just the clarity behind all the information that we're putting on the listings it provides so much more clarity, if you will, to those lenders and from the borrowing perspective. That's fantastic, Charity.
Yeah, I would agree, Gary. That was an amazing segment. And I think that everyone realizes, that was great, Charity. Reach out to Charity. I would be using that beautiful brain on my marketing materials for, pieces to send out to your client base, to prospecting, to farming areas. People want to know this stuff. And if we require a clarification, I can only imagine what the general public requires. So I would utilize the team there with Charity and Hales and get that information and put it out there to your clients. Call them. It's a great reason to call. Hey, just letting you know this is happening. Right? It's great.
Yeah, well said, Marvin.
We're always here to help any way we can. As you know, we always say that, and it's not just, again, to administer the mortgages. We have lots of information. Feel free. Every question's a good question, and we love helping you and hearing from you.
Awesome. Okay, I do have one last question. This is a really great question, Nathan. What happens if someone has a locked-in rate that perhaps expires, in July, for instance?
Yeah, so the rate holds are still effectively good. So if you have a rate hold that's locked in, that's not changing. We can still get those rates that we have for you, but the term of the condition, the borrowing amount may have changed slightly if the client purchases after the June 1st.
Fantastic stuff. Okay, Charity and team, thank you so much. And as Marv said, yeah, do reach out to Charity and her team. I know many of our agents have, and everyone from John Brock and just everyone like that. I reach out to her because she is a tremendous resource and for our clients, for ourselves, to inform our clients. So good stuff, Charity. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Okay, I see Marv getting ready here because he's up next with the a very special broker bit section. And this is awesome stuff, Marv. I'm going to hand it over to you, and I'll just keep clicking as you tell me to. So it's all yours.
Okay, well, thank you. So big shoes to fill. As we know, Christine is recovering from double knee replacement surgery, and she's doing really, really well. I'll do my best to at least try to keep up with Christine's pace of doing this, because she always does a great job with broker bits. So let's get right to it, Kara. So I'm going to ask you, take a moment, read this clause, and tell me what's wrong with it. I'll read it out loud to you, actually. The seller represents and warrants to the buyer that during the time the seller has owned the property, the use of the property and the buildings and structures thereon has not been for the growth or manufacture of any illegal substances. This warranty shall survive and not merge on completion of this transaction. What's wrong with the clause? By the way,
clause doesn't merge on completion.
Pardon me?
Grow-up clauses don't merge on completion. They last forever.
That's right. It says it will survive and not merge on completion. So that's there.
What about that marijuana is not illegal anymore?
You're correct. It's not illegal, but that's not what I'm looking for. But good. And by the way, this is a common OREA TREB clause. Okay, keep going.
Marvin, what if it's a prop, like a building or something like that, where there's multiple structures, but they don't own the whole thing?
Well, the clause I think would be amended. Still not what I'm looking for, but I love the participation.
Marv, there's a comment that Darren has that may have just shed some light on it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. What if they were aware of a grow up before ownership?
Okay. So let's use that to catapult what's happening. So I took this from an actual situation that one of our realtors encountered. So one of our realtors was representing the seller. This clause came in the agreement. The seller bought the property by recollection in, I think, 2008, something like that. And they bought it as a grow-up. It was previously used as a grow-up. It was fully remediated. It was super clean. They lived in it from that time until they put it on the market. An offer comes in, and this offer just asks them to represent that during the time they've owned the property, the use of the property and the buildings and structures have not been for the growth or manufacture of illegal substances. And that's a true statement. Prior to their ownership, however, it was used for that purpose. So what happened here was it came to light prior to closing. The reality behind it is I think the people didn't want to pay the price. They wanted to back out. And we said, that's the clause you put in. And we can honestly say that that is actually correct. Go to the next screen, Gary. This is our clause, and this is what we prefer for you to use. It says the buildings and structures thereon has not been and never has been for the growth and manufacture. There's a big difference by inserting those 4 words, because you're saying historically it's never been used for this purpose. The other thing that's quite interesting is the buyers had an inspection, a 3.5-hour inspection, and the property was deemed in great physical condition. So, it's very, very interesting. So if you're really looking to make sure that a property has never been used for the growth or manufacture of illegal substances, make sure you don't use the generic first clause. You use one of the clauses from our data bank, which is available on the My KWRC site. Questions on that? We're good? All right, let's move on.
You have another variation of that clause here too, Marvin.
Yeah, it's the same basic thing. It's just the seller represents and warrants that during the time the seller has owned the property, the use of the property, and the buildings and structures thereon, which addresses Wasim's point, has not been for the growth or manufacture of any illegal substances, and that to the best of the seller's knowledge and belief, the use of the property and the buildings and structures thereon has never been for the growth or manufacture of illegal substances. And to Vincent's point, the warranty shall survive and not merge on the completion of this transaction. So it's an all-encompassing clause. It's the one to make sure that you use.
Yeah, I always remember, Marvin, if I may, like, it must have been 7 or 8 years ago, sitting in a class that you were hosting, and you said, if you're looking for a specific outcome or answer, get as clear can be. And this is doing that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we're always looking to do with our clauses. We're always reviewing them, refining them, and this is an example of that. Cool.
Very good.
All right, let's go to the next. Emails. And thanks for the great graphic. The next thing we're going to talk about is the importance of emails, the importance of what you write, the importance of what you don't write. And I'm going to give you some exact examples. Let's go to the next slide here. So I sat on the TREB arbitration panel for 4 years. I think Christine did for about the same amount of time. She's now on another board with TREB. But when it comes to TREB arbitration or RICO investigations for that matter, what you have to understand is that conversations are not enough. We deal in contracts, not conversations. So let me elaborate. Go to the next slide, please, Gary. Okay. So here's what you have to understand. TREB arbitration hearings for commission claims have to be filed after the closing has occurred. And often with these TREB arbitration committees and these hearings, it takes several months after the closing date to get your date in court, if you will. So what ends up happening is people are trying to recall their conversations from several months prior, Gary, and it becomes a battle of words between the two. So here's what we emphasize over and over again, and I felt it was an important piece to include in Broker Bits. If you could go to the next slide. Always follow up on your conversations with an email summary of whatever you discussed with a seller or with a buyer or with a cooperating sales rep. Or any other party related to the agreement, like a mortgage broker or a home inspector, or whoever the case may be, especially if there's a potential hint of a potential issue rather. So I would say many great realtors do this as a standard practice. Gary, thanks so much for speaking with me today to confirm that, whatever, right? Even if it's a one-sided correspondence, it goes a long way, because if we're 9 months or 10 months down the road at TREB arbitration, we can show a paper trail. We can show emails. It's very different. And by the way, the flip side of that coin is don't write anything in an email or a text that you don't intend to get read at TREB arbitration or at a RICO hearing, because you got to be careful. Your words are permanent when you put them out there. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, Garen. So buyer representation agreements and exclusive MLS listing agreements ties into what I'm saying. So let's go to the next one. So time in and time out, almost every TREB arbitration boils down to this: hearings about a claim for commission. And almost every one of those claims for commission are a dispute over who has the valid contract, whether it's a BRA or a listing agreement. It's the same thing almost every time. And what always ends up happening is people claim the other party backdated something, or they didn't have a valid contract, or they didn't know it existed. And more often than not, what's happening in arbitration right now, Gary, is that people are saying, you didn't explain this to me. So as you all may recall, I advocated for a number of years to have TREB and RIA change the form, which they did, to include that bold statement that your client initials that says they're not party to any other agreement. And that's great, except what's happening now at arbitration is people are claiming that statement wasn't explained by the realtor. They just skimmed over it. Initial here, initial there, sign there. So what I'm saying to you now is, although it's wonderful that they're initialing that bold statement, whether it's on the BRA or on the MLS listing or the exclusive listing, it's not enough. So here's what I'd like you to incorporate into your standard practice. Next slide, please, Gary. So safeguard your transaction. I mean, you work so hard for your commission, to have it blown by something simple like that doesn't make sense to me. So safeguard your transaction, safeguard the client relationship by emailing your client, summarizing your conversation and what they've signed right after the meeting. So I gave an example of something that I would send out. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for taking the time to meet with me today. I enjoyed reviewing and explaining the agency documentation and listing agreement with you, along with my strategy for marketing and selling your home. I also appreciate you confirming that you've not signed any documentation with any other real estate brokerage for your sale or your upcoming purchase, which I'm excited to get started on. Please keep the copies of the listing agreement and the buyer representation agreement handy, as your lawyer or lender may require a copy at a later time. If you have any further questions, I'm always available to answer them. And once again, thank you for entrusting me with the sale and purchase of your homes. If you have an email like that after meeting with somebody and explaining agency and getting them to sign their BRA and or their listing agreement, it's bulletproof at TREB. It's bulletproof. That's kind of the 1-2 punch to getting the bold part initialed. And I would suggest that we should actually send this kind of standardized, you can make it your own, but template that people could use going forward. Any comments on that, Karen?
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, a lot of people are loving it. And I shall remind everybody too, that this entire presentation, all the slides that we see here are posted on our My KW site. So I see lots of people taking pictures of this. Do that, but also be reminded that all the content is provided there. Yeah, this is fantastic, Marvin. And I think a lot of conversations need to have something very similar to this as a follow-up, just to make sure we're always on the same page. And then you can see very quickly if you're not, and circle back to what needs to be, clarified, right?
Yeah, because this covers pretty much everything. It confirms that you explained agency, which is always one of the big questions at TREB, as well as all of the other associated materials, the marketing materials. It even ties in the BRA, which is kind of nice too, right? And it tells them, please keep copies of everything. Like, it covers all of the points. It checks all the boxes, if you will, Gare, that always occur at arbitration. So why not just a simple letter like this by email? Perfect. And you know what? If they didn't understand something, better to flush it out now through an email like this than have that occur when you're in front of a panel at TREB, right? So.
Yeah. And last 2 weeks ago when we were on the call with our paralegal, and we were saying, how unprepared a lot of the people are. You show up to a hearing like this and prepared, you're giving yourself every opportunity to win that appeal or hearing, right, Marvin?
Yeah, and it makes my job and Christine's job so much easier when you have great paperwork. Like, our guys already do great paperwork, but I can't bulletproof. I have to go through the investigatory process of someone backdating a MLS agreement or an exclusive agreement or a BRA or whatever. This gives us all the arsenal that we need, because I already know you're all doing a great job on your paperwork. We see that, but that's the 1-2 punch for sure.
Fantastic. Very good.
All right.
And when they do need that assistance, this is the number that our agents call. So please reach out to the number on the screen there when you are in need of a broker or you need that support. Everything from getting clarity on a clause or how to handle a certain situation, reach out to the number there. And any one of these fine brokers, Marvin, Andrew, Colin, Wayne, Michael, and of course, Christine, when she's back, can support you in whatever it is that you find yourself in. So that's a great resource we have, and make sure you're leveraging that for sure. Very good. Thanks, Marvin.
Pleasure.
But don't go anywhere because you're up in just a second. Okay, this is really cool. We started this about a week ago for our cappers, and every morning, or I should say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 8:40, visit that website there. We have a Zoom call along with our support staff, and it's great to see our smiling faces, our smiling agent faces, and to be able to connect with them. And it is, we use this to start our morning off right. We start off with obviously getting connected and staying connected with each other, but talking about each other's wins. We watch a short video that's going to help us throughout the day, and great conversations are coming out of it. It's only until 9 o'clock. Right at 9 o'clock, it's a hard stop, and really looking forward to seeing how this evolves for our calls going forward. And if you are a capper and you are looking to get and stay connected, this is a great way to do that. Jen also runs at the same, I believe at 8:30 every morning, a power up call for those that are in her coaching program. So you should be on one of two calls, Jen's call or this call, and that'll help create some great workflows for you throughout the day. And it's great to see everybody on these calls. Very good. Okay, Marv, market stats.
All right, everyone's favorite.
That's right. And
I know they usually, I like this format better because when we did the team meetings, which we all love, of course, with our big Italian style wedding production for our meetings, which is awesome. You always gave me the hook early on the stats, right? I could see that. So I'm going to take advantage of this, but let's take a look because there's a story with the numbers. And I think that's the important part. And if we're not telling the story, someone else is, right? So let's take a look and see how we're doing.
Yeah, very good. And I should remind people as we go through these, remember, think about some of those objections that you want to put into the comments that Marv can tackle afterwards. We're going to do that right after this segment. So
nothing difficult.
Nothing difficult. No. Read between the lines, my friends.
Okay, here we go.
All right, here we go.
So this is for all of the Toronto Real Estate Board, sold versus asked, all major brands. You can see what's going on in the market. Keller Williams is first again. This is year to date as of the end of April 2021, averaging 110.43% of asking price, all the way down to 106, which is still excellent for the lowest competitor on the list. The interesting thing there, though, is if you're a new agent, as an example, Gary, and you don't have your own stats, why not use these? So if I was going up against one of those other companies and commission came up as an objection, show them. If we're averaging 3% more than our competitors, and I'm only charging you 0.5% or 1% more than the people you had in, you're going to net more money with me, right? So commission should not be a conversation, right? Know your stats. That's a big important part of all this. Let's go to the next one. Days on market, boom, number one again, averaging 11 days on market. And Mary, excellent job on these slides. They're fantastic. Thank you. And you're always so quick at getting them on the website for us. 11 days on market. And I'm going to tell you, 11 days is probably 2 or 3 days because we're holding offers, traditionally speaking, at least we have in the first 4 months of the year. And so all these numbers, they're all amazing. They're all probably cut in half or even greater than that due to the nature of the market. Olive Treb, productivity per agent. I checked it 5 times. The decimal 2 is correct. But every year it's us and RE/MAX battling out as the most productive agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board. They just have more agents than we do. So you can see how that compares against all of our competitors in terms of units per agent. This is for Olive Treb. Let's take a look locally. Newmarket, sold versus asked. We're actually in a tie for second, averaging about 107.5% of the asking price. And again, these are phenomenal numbers. And I always show everything. We don't have to be in first to see the stats. We have to know the accurate numbers. So that's a big number, right? That's a big number. So let's take a look at the next one. Market share, we maintain first position in Newmarket. You can see it's spread out a little bit more. Historically, we're over 20% of the market. So usually 1 out of every 5 houses in Newmarket is sold by us. But this is where we are year to date at 15.71% of the market in Newmarket. Aurora, sold versus asked, we are number 1 at 109.11%. And again, if you were competing against some of those brokerages for a listing in Aurora, it's pretty easy. I mean, we're 4% ahead of Royal LePage and 4.5% roughly ahead of RE/MAX and so on. There's nothing left to talk about. Days on market, we're also first in Aurora, averaging 7.7 days. And remember, there's a direct correlation, typically speaking, between days on market and sold versus asked. The The faster you sell, typically speaking, the more money you get. So that's an important stat too. Market share is very interesting in Aurora. It's basically a dead heat. Very unusual. It's a small community, right? 4 brokerages represent virtually 100% of the market. Pretty close. 90, let's call it, or something like that. Yeah, so we have 20% of the market. 1 out of every 5 homes, going back to the last slide, Gary, is sold by Keller Williams. But the interesting thing is our productivity per agent is number 1 and has been for about 2 years now in Aurora. So even though we're pretty much all in a dead heat, if we just had more agents in Aurora, I'm pretty sure, can you go back to the last slide, Gary? You can see we outproduce all the other brokerages locally on a per agent basis. So if you go to market share.
Oh, hang on.
Before this one. Yeah, that's okay.
There we go.
You could just see the difference, right? Couple agents here and there swinging will change that dynamic. So every one of the companies that's ahead of us just has way more agents in Aurora than we do. That's all it is. And our guys are more productive per agent, which is what matters to our people. Okay, you can skip ahead a couple. We saw that one. Sold versus asked in Georgina. So it's quite incredible. Even at 107% sold versus asked, it's good enough to be in the middle of the pack. So you can see the numbers that are going on in Georgina, all very impressive numbers. And this is happening everywhere right now, right? Let's take a look at the next one. This is market share. It's really spread out throughout Georgina. It's not what it used to be. So we're basically a 3-way tie in the middle there for third at roughly 6.5% of the market. First is only at 11%. You know, it's not a big spread there. Let's go to the next one. Days on market. We are first in East Gwillimbury at 4.8 days on market, which is fantastic. That's what I would be hanging my hat on for listings in East Gwil. Bradford West Gwil, we are averaging the most amount of money out of any brokerage there. We're at 109.47%. And again, though, all the numbers for all of the companies are exceptional. I mean, historically, we would see numbers in the low 90s as a list versus ask price, and we haven't seen that in a very long time. Nothing's been under 100 for a long time. Okay.
Very good.
So that's, those are the stats. That's it.
Very good. And I was reading in the comments, Mary already has them loaded on the My KWRC site. So Mary, you are right on the ball with us. Thank you so much. Marv, I love these names and these numbers that you sent us yesterday. This is phenomenal. It says top 10 agents for closed units in Aurora. So these are units that close in Aurora, just so we're all clear what we're looking at here, right, Marv?
No, these are agents in Aurora that have closed units between January 1st and the end of April. So it's just based on units, right? So you could have ties in there. You could have, 5 people that sold 20 units as an example. So we've indicated whatever is a tie on here. And I think you're all going to be quite surprised to see how many people we have in each community that are excelling like this, right?
Yeah. Number 1 year to date, Wasim Jarrah. Congratulations, my friends.
All brands, by the way. We're not just talking Keller Williams. Wasim, you're number 1 out of all brands in Aurora for units rate.
Well said. Exactly. Kirby Chan in number 2. Vincent Bungard tied for 5th. Yeah, there you go. Michael Tuff tied for 6th. Marion Carconi tied for 9th. Along with Stephanie Sauve, who's writing her exam right now, tied for 9th. Amazing. Colin Campbell tied for 10th. And Dylan Silbernagel tied for 10th. And Frank Rayoni tied for 10th. Rahani, excuse me. Congratulations. This is how we had that tremendous amount of market share by just, I'm going to say it, like still a small number of agents, right?
Yeah.
And we're looking for big things to come out of the Aurora office over the next 6 to 12 months, because it's right here. It's right there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, Gary, I remember when we started, we're struggling at 5% and all that stuff. I mean, 1/5 of the market is still ours in Aurora, but we always strive to be number 1, and we will be number 1 in Aurora. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And congratulations to everybody, right?
Yeah, huge congratulations. That's amazing. Great effort. Moving to Newmarket. So top 10, top 15, there's a lot more agents that trade out of the Newmarket area. And big congratulations again to everybody here. Right now at third is the Volpe Alcorn team. So awesome stuff. Stuart Madden at seventh. And again, Marv, I should have looked at this in more detail, but Stuart, I got to look a little bit later. You might be the number one individual agent on this list because obviously there's a few teams ahead of you. So congratulations to you there.
I'm not sure. It could be. Yeah.
I'll have to look at that afterwards. Yeah. Paula Ireland in 11th. And Michelle Terzis and Wayne Clements tied for 13th. A huge congratulations to you, my friends.
That's great.
Moving to Georgina, and this is pretty cool too. Top 10, we have the pair-off team at number 4. And the Volpe Alcorn team tied for 6. So their name appears more than once on these lists here. And that means they have market share over a number of different communities. So huge congratulations to you guys. Speaking of which, East Gwillimbury. And look who it is. The Volpe Alcorn team tied for 3rd. So keep up that amazing effort there. That is amazing stuff. Congratulations to everybody, because we know this isn't an individual thing. Just like my shirt says, no one succeeds alone. This is brokerage wide, and this is that wave of momentum that we can, obviously ride into the summer and then into the fall season. Just keep up this momentum because we see it happening, and this has been fantastic. So congratulations to everybody here. Very good. Very good. Okay. Yeah. I keep seeing great comments there. This is what we're going to move into, the objection handling. Before we do that, we have a short video that we're going to share with everybody. And this is really, really important. There we go. As we know, our very own Wasim Jarrah is running for director at large. And he would love to be reelected, and we're certainly going to do everything we can to see that happen. And Wasim has created a short 3-minute video that is being used for his platform. So take a listen, and again, support Wasim on this.
Our industry is an uncharted, worrisome, and at times difficult environment. We will continue with this new norm for the foreseeable future. You need directors that have the courage, experience, expertise, and passion to steer your livelihood along a successful, thought-out plan for your future. I have these attributes. Plus, I'm a sitting TREB director, committees and task forces volunteer member. I strongly believe I'm your strong voice at the board table. Currently this year, I sit as a director on the board of directors. I also sit on the government relations committee as a member. I co-chair the MLS Technology and Related Services Committee. I chair the Consumer Relations Committee. I also sit as a member on the Task Force for Diversity and Inclusion. In 2018, I sat on the Affordable Housing Subcommittee. And between 2015 and 2017, I sat on the Professional Standards Committee as a member. From small beginnings, you get the chance to reach one of the pinnacles, director. It's a fantastic feeling that your opinions and volunteerism count. I get to work on important realtor matters that I think are for the good of real estate for both the agent and the consumer. Amongst my favorite achievements are meeting, interacting with, lobbying, voicing my own opinions with all levels of people, from activists to lobby groups to politicians, mayors, municipal bureaucrats, and being a part of an excellent TREB group of volunteers to successfully fight the spread of the land transfer tax and capital gains tax on residential homes, achieving a big win for personal real estate corporations and not seeing any increase in your TREB dues. TREB's greatest strength is without question its membership. Our members are dedicated and driven to being a powerful voice of our industry and an influence overall in our economy. The opinion of TREB is well respected and sought after by all levels of government, and being the largest board in the world, the value of TREB's role and guidance is well respected. Some of the challenges I see on the forefront include government interventions, technology and innovation, research and development, diversity and inclusion, as well as industry professionalism. These challenges can be met with a stronger and more collaborative voice working together with both economic and government bodies in a proactive manner. As the driving force of our economy, we need to find workable and informed solutions regarding inefficient government-proposed legislations. I'm excited for the future of our technology, but we must not stop there, as we will need to continue to upgrade. We need to initiate more research and development tactics to better enhance and create efficiency within the realtor profession. We need to work on enhancing diversity and eliminating racism, as well as we need to improve professionalism while creating and developing effective strategies to ensure the strength of our industry moving forward. Voting begins on May the 26th. Make sure you re-elect Wasim Jera, TREB Director at Large.
Amazing. Awesome stuff, Wasim, and very honored and proud to be in business with you. And the links, or the link to vote, voting just opened up today at noon, so it's in the chat. Do take that. I think we have two things to do here, two roles to play. One is to vote for Wasim, and the second would be to share that story, to share that video with our colleagues. And as you can see on screen here, as Wasim pointed out, we also have a great colleague down at KW Portfolio who is also running, and we can vote for her as well. And Wasim would say, you know, having people that not only do you get along with, but also have the same vision with, it really helps in getting some of these amazing initiatives done. So Wasim, thank you for your leadership here. And of course you have our support, and in any which way we can, we will support you going forward. Thank you, my friend.
It's important to have a voice too, right? And to have someone like Wasim, Gary, in our office that can be our voice is just phenomenal. And I know he really truly cares. I mean, he's been so passionate about this for so many years. So please just take a minute after the meeting, or better yet, don't ask me any questions for this objection handling thing. Just go vote for Wasim, right? That's what we got to do. There you go.
That would be the win for Marvin. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Very, very, very good. Yeah, Kate Young is from KW Portfolio, and I'll see if I can find the video for her information after the meeting here. Okay, so yeah, let's have a little fun here, Marv. Live objection handling, and perhaps the best thing I can do is maybe just unshare the screen here. Stop share. There we go. And yeah, as I said off the top, this was something that Marv kind of had this idea. He wasn't sure where it would land, but he knew I would love it. Didn't quite know what he was going to do with it. And this is a lot of fun because, you know, we often, here's what I know. We often we're in these situations where we do have to use objection handling all the time, whether it's at home with our family or in business. And if you're not putting yourself out there, Marv, right, like, you don't get to hear how others would respond. And if you're not putting yourself out there in different mastermind groups or working within Jen's coaching group, you actually don't get to, you know, level up, as it were. And this is a great way that we're going to be able to do that, by understanding and hearing a different perspective on it, or how it's delivered. And trust me, the confidence behind how it's delivered goes a long way too. So feel free to start typing them in there. I'm happy to start this whenever I start seeing them. And I saw one earlier here from Haley. So this is a good one. We'll start with this one, Marv. I know you haven't seen this. So again, these are live, unscripted. Oh, so here we go. And this is a great question from Haley.
Haley, this is going to be a defining moment for you. This question is too difficult, and you find that your paychecks come in a little slow, there just may be a direct correlation there, right? Just so you know. Only kidding. Go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. Haley says, I'm retired and don't want a bigger mortgage. If I sell, I have to buy in a seller's market.
You know, it's interesting. If you look back in time, Haley, I'm going to address it to you. Haley, if you look back in time, what used to be a seller's market 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, now when we reflect back on it, we're like, wow, what a great opportunity that was to buy it, right? Because what ends up happening is prices historically go up 5% compounded every year. So it's always a good time to buy. It's always a good time to sell. It's really situational. So think about your parents as an example. When they bought a house, they probably bought in a seller's market too. It's quite likely, right? But imagine if you had the opportunity to buy when they did, the kind of money you would make, the kind of retirement you would have. So I would suggest that it's not a bad time at all. It's actually a great time to buy. There's great deals in every market.
I like it. And I should remind it, this is being recorded. So yeah, write down some notes and so forth, but don't forget that this is being recorded. And what I want people to tune into is not only the answer, but how Marvin says it, right? And the tonality of his voice is incredibly important as well. No, that's good, Marv. That's great insight. So, okay. Terry Hastings, right off the top here. I love it.
Come on, Terry.
Now the objections are starting to come in.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and we knew this was coming. This should be no surprise. Why would I pay you 5% for such a quick sale?
You know, Terry, I get asked that question a lot. And here's what I would say to you. On the surface, it may seem like a lot of money, right? And it is a lot of money. But the truth of the matter is you're paying for my expertise. So if you look at the statistics that I've presented to you, you'll see that on average, I sell homes for around 3.5% more than our competitor. So what I think I'm hearing you say is you're concerned about how much you're going to net rather than how much you're going to pay. Is that correct? Because I've proven to you that I'm going to net you more money. And I think that's really smart that you have that perspective. So as long as I can demonstrate to you that I'm going to net you more money and that I've done that historically, I think you'll be able to get the best of the best. You'll be able to use my expertise to represent you in the sale and the purchase of your home. And you'll end up netting more money. And I think it's smart that you're wondering about that. I think it's great. So let's get that paperwork signed. What do you say, Terry? My first listing up in Grey Bruce. It's going to be awesome.
That's great. And you know what I liked about that, Marvin, too, is yeah, you base it on obviously the experience that you bring to the table. But more importantly, you kind of circled it back to the stats that you probably previously showed them, right? By netting more money by using those stats, right?
And I think that's a common objection. When people say, why is it so expensive? I like to say, you know what? Congratulations on asking that question, because what I really think you're saying, what I'm hearing, is that you're concerned about how much money you're going to net. So let's talk about that, right? In the absence of value, everything's expensive. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, moving on. Now they're coming in. From Drew McMartin. Oh, hang on, stay still. I would love to sell with you, but I have to keep my promise to the agent for which I originally bought the home from 15 years ago.
Yeah, now I don't really, Drew, first of all, I respect loyalty. And I think that it's awesome that you feel a loyalty to that realtor. Let me ask you a question. Can Drew interact with me on this one? Is that
okay? I hope he can. Unmute yourself there, Drew.
So Drew, over these 15 years, how often did you hear from that realtor?
No, he hasn't called me in 3-4 years. I sit by the phone waiting for it to ring and he never calls.
Well, here's the thing. You know what? You have to wonder how much that realtor really cares about you and your family. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to guarantee my work. I'm going to give you a guarantee in writing, Drew, that says, if you're in any way dissatisfied with my process, my marketing, my selling of your home, you can cancel and list with anybody you want the very next day. But here's the other thing. If you really want to give that realtor an opportunity, what we can do is we can list the house today. I'll give that person a call and say, he hasn't heard from you in a while, but because you did help them purchase the house, we want to give you a heads up in case you have any buyers in your database that might be interested in the home. By the way, he's done a lot of work to the house since you last sold it to him a few years ago. So that's how I would handle it, Drew. You won't even have to make the call. I'll take care of it all for you, bud.
Drew says sold. Yeah, no, that's good because it's circling back to that relationship that is non-existent, right?
Right. Yeah.
And typically is in that case.
Yeah, it's a good question to ask. When's the last time you've heard from them? Now, if they have heard from them with regularity, say, okay, that's great. And what have they been telling you in terms of market updates and so on? Because you can kind of spin it in either direction depending on the answer from the client, right?
Mark, is that a time where you would ask them, what has that other agent shown you in a marketing plan? Like really get really specific on how they're going to market the home. What would you do there?
You know what? Here's the thing that I found too. Most people don't know their stats and they're not as well prepared as our realtors are. They don't have a proper CMA. They don't have a proper marketing plan that explains to the consumer step by step from the time you meet them. Actually, even in some cases before you even meet them, through the entire process of listing, selling, after sale. So don't be afraid to go head to head with someone that they've dealt with before. They may not know, and I say this too. Sometimes good's the enemy of great. What other experience have you had with other realtors? Because what do you have to compare, right? So let me demonstrate to you what I can do. And then if you still think that person's better, then so be it, right?
Yeah, very good. Okay, next one's from Melissa Taylor.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyways, Melissa says, I can't sell my house until I find a property. There are so few available, and mine will sell quickly, but I have to stay in this area.
Yeah, and you know what, Melissa, I respect that. So here's what I'm going to suggest we do. Sometimes in a market like this, as you're experiencing when you're trying to find a property, people come along and just have to buy your property, and they're willing to pay an enormous amount of money to do so. So here's what we're going to do. I suggest we list your house exclusively. We won't have to do anything other than quiet marketing of your home while we continue to look. If we happen to get an offer that comes in that piques your interest, it's beyond the realm of what you expected, and you want to sell, great. But in the meantime, I'm going to work day and night to find you that home on your purchase. So we're going to sign a buyer rep agreement. And what that does is it allows me to be insured while I represent you. I think that's what you're going to want. So aside from MLS listings, I'm also going to be able to provide you listings that aren't even on the market yet, because we have a really, really big network of exclusive listings that our company is able to access. So does that make sense? I mean, we want to be able to jump on selling your home if we find the perfect buy and we haven't sold your home yet right away. So we're going to do things like the staging. We're going to talk about value. And we're going to always have it ready to go so that the moment we find your house on the buy side, we're not going to have any hesitation on the sales side. How does that sound?
Yep, she's saying yes. Okay, and it's important there too, Mark. Like we often forget about Broker Bay and the exclusive network within there. When I looked the other day, there's approximately 1,100 exclusive listings on it. Now, mind you, we know
brokerage is part of that, right? You have to be big enough to be able to afford it. So we do have that, and we should utilize that as a tool in that conversation, Karen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Vincent has a really interesting question. And as the demographic of our area changes, so does our brokerage. And Vincent, I've had this come up numerous times in the past, and I know my answer, what my answer is, but I'm curious to see what Marvin's is. I'm seeing a lot of Chinese buyers in our neighborhood. We might consider going with a Chinese agent because we believe they have the buyers for our house.
You know, I've heard this time and time again. I'll address Vincent. Here's what's quite interesting. They may have a lot of the buyers. I'm not going to dispute that. It seems to happen. But if you probably noticed, they don't tend to have a lot of the sellers. And what I've found is that certain ethnicities actually like to buy from local realtors. I don't know what the logic is behind it. Maybe they feel that the homes are better presented. But if I can show you stats, I'll bring you listings and show you that the vast majority of them are not, in your example, Asian to Asian in terms of both ends of the transaction. So just because someone's bringing in the buyer, it doesn't make them the best candidate to represent you as the seller. And I'm local, and here's what I do. And here are my numbers. They speak for themselves.
And no, that's fantastic, Marvin. How I've answered that in the past too. I don't care. It doesn't matter what demographic or specific niche, property niche or buyer niche. I find myself partnering with that niche agents or that demographic. If that's something you want exposure to, then that's who I'm going to partner with to help, the sale of your property. So we can always lean on that as well, I think.
Yeah, and I think our brokerage is so diverse that, quite frankly, one of the other explanations I would give is when you list with us, you are listing with all ethnicities because that's what we have in our company. So their networks will actually be exposed to your listing as well. So you're not missing out on anything. I can assure you of that, right?
Very good. Okay, we'll just do a couple more here because we're past 1:30. This is another one from Haley. So you did this. The first one's so good, she gets a second one.
All right.
And this is actually a really good one. Excuse me. My home was on the market in 2019, but expired without an accepted offer. I wanted to sell originally because the property is too big, but now I've gotten used to taking care of it, and I don't know if I want to sell anymore.
Yeah, so, Haley, I experience this a lot. And the first thing that I think we need to do is sit down and analyze the MLS listing that you had at the time. So maybe it wasn't correctly priced, or maybe it wasn't properly staged. The listing itself has to invoke interest too. So many times you see listings. I took a quick peek at yours, by the way, and there was all kinds of abbreviations and misspelling, and they didn't utilize all the fields because really, when you list something on MLS, you have to sell the realtor and you have to sell the public. Like everything's accessible on the internet right now, right? So it may not have been your home. It may have been the way it was represented, or it may have been mispriced at that time. But what I can tell you is a properly priced home right now will sell. And it will sell for, I believe, greater than your reasonable expectations. So I wouldn't let 2019 factor into things. Right now in 2021, we're 9.8% ahead of the numbers in 2017, which people thought we'd never see again. So you couldn't have picked a better time to call me, Haley. So I hope you like cappuccino, because I'm bringing over a couple and we're going to sit down and go through all the stats. Okay. Sound good?
I like it. So Marvin said this a few times. I wrote it down, and this validates his experience. And he actually uses that in his line. I have seen this a lot, which to me, that translates to, I'm talking to a lot of sellers. I'm talking to a lot of buyers, and this is the information I'm getting from them. So that I think it was Stephanie earlier said, it validates their response, but also validates your experience in a sense as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. What a great close, Jen O'Kane says. She must be referring to the cappuccinos. Okay.
I think it's apps. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Last question before we sign off for the day. And this is a good one another one from Terry Hastings. It must be the Ontario West Coast over there. Very good. Okay. Marv, I love everything that you show me here today, but Realtor from ABC Realty says they'll do it for less.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. That really kind of scares me a little bit. So Terry, I think what I'm hearing you say is you're more concerned about what you're going to net. So what I normally do here, Terry, and I can't do it right now unless there was a share screen option for me, is I show them a chart. And I say, okay, I want to explain to you why I would never do that to you, and why I would never do that to your family, and why I would never do it in terms of being a proper professional in this situation. Because the truth of the matter is, anything that's cut is cut as a service that's being provided to you. If you could, let me just see if I could get you to, could you share my screen, Gary?
I can, just one moment.
Because if I could show this, you'd understand what I'm talking about.
You should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, so let me just get this up. Bear with me 1 second. I know it's not the answer you were looking for. Oh my goodness. Gary, I'm having some technical difficulties here.
So
okay, well, don't worry about sharing my screen. Doesn't matter. Oh wait, here we go. Share screen, perfect. Okay, so this is what I want to show you. Share. Oops. Can you see my screen or no?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I didn't do a very good job, but this is from a listing presentation that I normally show. So let me just move everybody over. So if you can see this example, I would bring out a chart like this, Terry, and I'd say, okay, let's take a look at your home. So we agree that your house should sell for somewhere around $750,000. And at 5% commission, that's $37,500. And that is a lot of money. Now, we also agree that we have to pay the other broker half. Is that right? Terry, you want to interact with me? Is that right? She's saying yes.
She's saying it. Here she comes.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. So that's $18,750. And I have to pay my brokerage their fee. Like, there's no getting away with any of these things above that dotted line. And that's 30%. And by the way, the public doesn't know what your split is. So just say 30%. So that's $5,625. So those are absolutes. Would we agree, Terry?
Yes.
Okay. And let's go below the bottom dotted line. I think you know, and I don't like doing it, but I got to pay 47% income tax. There's no way around that. So that's $4,625. So everything in the middle are the only variables that I can cut. And quite frankly, when agents come out and they say to you they're going to do things for less, that's what they're cutting. So let's take a look. I've only allocated 10% or $1,875 to market your home and do all the advertising. Is that something you'd like me to cut?
No.
Do you think that's a reasonable amount to spend on a $750,000 listing? Okay. Websites, I've only allocated 5%, $937.50. Just, boosting your listing on all the different social media sites. I'm going to go through that for sure. Would you like me to cut that? Okay. And all that's left is 2.5% for things like my MLS fees, feature sheets, all those sort of things, $468. So you can see my profit is $9,843 if everything goes perfectly. So when agents cut things, they're cutting the services to you. And I believe in the absence of value, everything seems expensive, Terry. So if you look at my numbers and I'm averaging, 3.5% more than our competitor that you're referring to, you're actually going to net more money with me because I spend the money on getting you the most amount of money. You will net more. So at least now you can see. I know most realtors won't show you this, Terry, but when you see this chart, I think it helps you better understand how your money is spent to get you more money. So what do you say? Ready to sign that paperwork?
Oh, okay, sure.
If you had any other questions, though, I'd go down that route, right? That's what I would explain. Yeah. And the thing about that chart is, quite frankly, it's true. Like, we often forget about all of these expenses. People don't realize we need to spend that money to get them the most amount of money. So that's what I would have that prepared, because that conversation happens all the time. So if I'm going on a listing, I'd already have this all done based on what I anticipate the list price to be. And if I'm not sure, I'd have 2 or 3 of them done, and I'd show them the chart.
I think what's important about that too, Marvin, and you've taught me this, excuse me, is the importance of those absolute numbers with the decimal points, meaning, because that shows true professionalism on your part on how clear you are with your marketing campaign and how clear you are with the outcome of the sale of that property, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can make $5,000 if everything goes perfectly well. That's not unreasonable, right? And so I think when people see that, they better understand it, right? So if somebody were to cut even 0.5%, that's $3,750. There's no money in it, right? And the money's and they're not going to cut it from their money, by the way, Terry. They're going to cut it from all the services that they provide you, or better put, the lack of services you're going to receive because they don't have the money. So I think you better understand it now. I would never do that to your family because they don't care, by the way. They're going to list your house. It's going to sit on the market until the market catches up, if it does catch up, and then they might end up selling it. But if they're not going to do anything to promote it properly, you're not going to get top dollar. You're not going to net top dollar. And that's what I think you're most concerned about.
Awesome. I think this was really great, Marvin. It got to, we were able to interact with our friends online. And then also, like we said, this was unscripted and to the point where, this is how you have to think when you are at a listing presentation, right? You have to be armed and ready. And excuse me, there's really only about 5 or 6, not to say they're canned responses, but responses that you have nailed down.
Mm-hmm. And it's commission, right? So when it's commission, bring it down to, first of all, applaud them for bringing that up. Say, hey, you know what? I think it's amazing. And what I think I'm hearing you say is you're concerned about how much money you're going to net. And as soon as you switch it over to that, you've actually placed the anchor and you can actually go in any direction from there. Because it really is what they are concerned about. They're mistaken how much they spend for how much they're going to net. And that's because they think everyone's providing the same value for the same amount of money, and they're not. So the results are really important. Protect and track your stats. Use them in these listing presentations. It goes a long way, right?
Fantastic. So I trust everyone saw a tremendous amount of value in that. I know I did. And that's something that, we're always looking for ways to add value to these meetings, and it's a lot of fun. So we're going to continue to, think bigger. The call that we had this morning was the first idea is a good idea, but it's not the big idea. Right. And that was the John Maxwell call that we had this morning. So we're always going to look for ways to add value to these calls and, of course, our agents. You see on screen here is our June training calendar. And, of course, on June 1st, just as a reminder, the Canadian Mastermind. So reach out and book your seat for that throughout the day. We're going to, excuse me, of course, all the information will be sent out after this, the call. And KWRC Studios, we will have the official launch most likely mid-month there, but we are really, really excited for that with Mike and Dylan, and we'll get hard at work there. And of course, with the added coaches and support to the PC coaching team that Jen runs, there's all sorts of tremendous opportunities for you in the month of June. And do reach out to us and take part in the training, of course. It wraps up our meeting. Thank you so much to Charity. Thank you so much to Mary for taking part, and of course, everyone else that took part. Everyone have an amazing, amazing week, and we'll see everybody in real life real soon. It is so close to happening. Bye for now, everybody.